Thank you very much for inviting me to provide this presentation for your show. I came back from Sri Lanka a few days ago and I had visited the Chemmani site and I'd spoken to the judicial magistrate who's been presiding over the investigation. Just for people who don't know, the Chemmani murder site has been around in the consciousness of our community since 1996. I began practicing as a human rights lawyer in 1993, and I remember the case of Krishanthani Kumaraswamy because it was just one of the worst cases of rape and killing that I'd heard occurring in Jaffna. And what had happened is that this young woman, really, she'd taken her A-levels, was going through the checkpoint and she had disappeared, and her mother and brother and family friend had gone to look for her, and it later transpired that she'd been subject to gang rape. Her body and the body of her brother had been cut into pieces, and the mother and family friend had been killed with a rope. Several years later, and one of the soldiers who's charged with the killings makes an admission that he knows where all the rest of the massacre sites are, and that isn't just the only one. He's then attacked and intimidated, and there isn't any further investigation about what that had revealed. There were soldiers who were arrested and convicted for murder who were later released on bail, and nothing has ever happened to them. Since that time, and in fact before, the history of Sri Lanka is categorised by mass disappearance, not just for Tamils but also for Sinhalese, but predominantly for Tamils during the war, and also in respect of civilian settings as well. Then in February this year, just randomly, in the course of some construction work, another site was discovered, and this coincides with the the UN Human Rights Council's meeting sessions on Sri Lanka. In 2015, the UK and the US and a number of other countries supported a resolution that Sri Lanka be investigated for war crimes following the commission of a very detailed and comprehensive report by the UN. This is after 2009, and what we as community activists would say was genocide. It's now been 10 years and there has still been no finality or resolution for those who have families who were victims or witnesses to war crimes. What's very sad is that a lot of Tamil families whose family members had disappeared during the war had previously been pressurised to sign death certificates so that the investigation would be recorded as concluded, and they're beginning to sign the death certificates now because they just are in such difficult circumstances that they want some kind of finality. And that's really significant, and also very troubling, because it means that there's still a complete absence of accountability. I mean, we're talking about disappeared numbers that anything from 80 to 100,000. The current investigation has been observed by a number of different NGOs, domestic and international, and it's really pleasing to see that so many Tamil civil society members and family members are involved, as well as Tamil lawyers. Obviously, one of the concerns that was identified by the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka was that the actual forensic expertise is very limited. The funding has to be authorised by the government periodically, so that is always a big halt on the investigation. And although not as problematic as before, we still have the fact that the CID are conducting investigations and have been intimidating journalists and those who are deposing to witness statements, which has been noted by the magistrates, and steps are taken to rein them in. But this is a continuing problem with the police infrastructure, because it is mainly those who were appointed by past governments, and also the majority of the police in the north and the northeast don't speak Tamil, so they can't communicate with people that they are trying to assist in investigating the disappearance and death of their family members. Just to recap, in terms of Chemmani, there have been at least 200 discovered now, just from one site alone, and it could be that there are many other sites that haven't been identified yet. These included men, women and infants who weren't clothed, so this isn't those who were killed in shelling. It would appear to be a deliberate extrajudicial assassination. In other words, a really serious crime. This is a murder site, so we are talking one of the most serious high-level offences in humanitarian law. So just for everyone else then who is starting to read up about Chemmani, it really is an emblem of what has been happening in terms of the lack of accountability, and also the lack of progress as far as the UN investigations are concerned. And I really hope that a new generation, certainly a younger generation than me, who are educated and media savvy, can start really more aggressively try to push for accountability. Thank you.